So we're jumping back into Jarnail Singh's testimony to the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry, and is he the head of criminal law? He doesn't seem to know. He said, I spotted an opportunity, I wasn't the head of criminal law, I think that's the way people saw me, I might have met Cartwright King and thought this is a good gig, so actually I did take it in the end. It's really confusing what position he's actually adopting on it. But Jason Beer also puts to him, he doesn't seem to actually know a lot about some of the things he's saying, like we prosecuted based on business priorities, but I don't know what that means. So he puts it to him, is he just following orders that he's being given by the post office? Let's jump into the inquiry to find out.
Prior to that time, had the post office enjoyed a culture of prosecuting cases?
Oh, is that a question? Sorry.
Yeah.
You have to ask.
The senior lawyer within the criminal law team?
Maybe I'm a senior lawyer, maybe that's just the title, but I didn't get involved in any of that. I don't know.
No, of course you got involved in the prosecutions. You can't be distancing yourself from that. He's asking whether you enjoyed prosecuting them, not whether the business enjoyed prosecuting them, although there is ample suggestion that they did. But you can have a view on that, absolutely.
What it is, I think it's probably somebody like Rob Wilson, maybe somebody you had, Mr. Marsh, who was head of security, maybe somebody from the board, maybe whatever it is. But I can't answer that question because I don't know. I wasn't part of it. But all I can tell you is that the reason why it's there, because obviously I was told that's what they were going to do going forward, what the future looked like.
This is incredible, though, to suggest that he doesn't have a view on the prosecutions at all. Maybe he doesn't want to say it now because it doesn't sound good, but he must have had a view at the time, and he clearly must have a view now. It's just an opinion, it's not asking for recollection.
Prior to this shift in prosecution policy, were criminal investigations and proceedings launched without a proper basis?
Of course not. I wouldn't. No.
Why was a change necessary then?
I don't know. As I said to you, I wasn't involved in the first instant what you're describing as I don't recognise it, and the second bit is I'm highlighting what I've been told. That's what the post office want to do, and I'm just saying, well, that's what the post office want to do in the future or presently, but I can't answer that because I was not part of any decision making, wasn't part of in the management of it. I'm just a little bit more or less a case worker in the sense I described in my statement.
So he wasn't a decision maker, fair enough, but he didn't have a view on any of these things. The lack of professional curiosity seems astounding when you're being given such potentially controversial statements.
If we go over the page, please, to see, cases will only be raised for criminal investigation once all alternative avenues, which may culminate in a successful outcome, have been explored and dismissed. The decided course of action needs to be proportionate, justified and necessary. Cases raised for investigations will be limited to those likely to seriously damage the brand or reputation of the post office. Other cases will be considered where there's a clear and obvious business need to conduct a criminal investigation. Who decided that cases raised for investigation will be limited to those likely seriously to damage the post office's brand?
I don't know. I mean, presumably the board, presumably the management, maybe the head of the legal, but certainly this is again.
But this time you were the head of the criminal law team, weren't you?
I wasn't head of anything, to be honest with you. I just went in as a challenge, as an opportunity, and I can reassure you I was not head of criminal law. I think the outside world probably did because I was the only criminal lawyer, and I think originally they wanted Rob Wilson to go in, and at the last minute he dropped out. And I was put forward, and I think in the last minute, and I think this post was on the 1st of April, 12, and I think I was more or less told the end of March, probably the middle of March, do you want it? And I considered it, went to see Cartwright King, I liked it, and I knew it would be tough, so I took that opportunity as a challenge, and that's what I did.
So was he the head of criminal law or not? He seems to be suggesting in the end there that yes, he was indeed the head of criminal law, and he's just like, well, that might be the way the public perceived it. Really? Well, you said then you've seen an opportunity and you've gone for it. You've been opportunistic, I think is what you're trying to say, and you've actually taken on the role. Well, you can't now distance yourself from the fact that you took on that role. It'll certainly be interesting to see whether he signed off any future emails as the head of criminal law. But he's either scenario we investigate here is either there was no head of criminal law, and then de facto being, the second in command as the senior in law, who is effectively the head of criminal law, or he was actually given the title as head of criminal law, which he seems to be kind of admitting towards the end of his answer there. But you can't just be in this no man's land of there was no head of criminal law, because I'm sure that's something that the Post Office would disagree with vehemently.
Who at the Post Office was driving the message then that prosecutions would be launched if they damaged seriously the brand or reputation of the Post Office?
Well, I think, again, it's not down to me. I don't think I was part of it. I was probably told about it. Would be the head of legal, the board, maybe head of security. Certainly, you've probably seen so much work, so much emailed. I'm not probably copied into most of it. I mean, I'm copied in as and when they need some advice or assistance on the legal front. But even on the legal front, I'm passing it over to Cartwright King because they're more handle, because they're actually physically dealing with the prosecution on our behalf.
But why were decisions as to whether to launch criminal investigations and pursuing prosecutions clouded by concerns over the reputation of the Post Office?
I can't help you with that because I don't know. I mean, I'm not part of the thing. Is that if they flash those words out, it may have some meaning, but then a lot of the work at that time and even now is all bullet points, and so you need some sort of content to it, some sort of background to understand what it all means. But I wasn't part of any of that as to why they decided to do what they decided to do.
Can we turn, please, to poll 0012-7280 and look at page 2, please, and scroll down, please. Can we see an email from you here to Angela van den Bogart of May 2014?
Yes.
And in the second paragraph, you say there will be cases in which it will be clear from the outset that the Post Office Limited will need to conduct a criminal investigation with a view to potential prosecution to protect the Post Office Limited brand and reputation and for business purposes. Why would the protection of the Post Office brand and reputation be a relevant consideration in deciding whether to prosecute?
I've told, I've repeated it many times. I've been told that's what they wanted to do. All I'm doing is highlighting it to the rest of the team as to where they're going. I mean, as to whys and hows and the purposes, I wasn't the person to give you the answer to that.
She's not, though, another member of your team. She's effectively second in command at this point with Paula Venables, and she's stuck beside her. We can see that in the dramatisation, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. So it would be strange if you're saying it's coming from board level to then be outlining to somebody, arguably at board level, who is then almost parroting what you're saying, their instructions back to them. That doesn't make an awful lot of sense because they'd already know that, surely. Just as a side note, Angela van den Bogart is due to appear in phases 5 and 6 of the Post Office Horizon IT inquiry, which begin on the 9th of April.
I don't know where you would be able to get the answer now. I don't know who else is coming to give evidence to the inquiry, but certainly I can't assist you any more than what I have. All I've done is highlighted what the Post Office want to do and how they want to do it.
What were the business purposes were you referring to there when you say that sometimes there will be cases where a criminal investigation with a view to potential prosecution needs to be commenced for business purposes? What were the business purposes?
I don't know.
What business purposes could justify a criminal investigation?
7th of May 2014. I don't know. I mean, such a long time ago, I've been away from this sort of area of work, and certainly the Post Office for a long time, and I've been involved in other matters, other legal as work. I can't, say hand on heart to tell you exactly what it was because I don't remember as to what the purposes were. I've forgotten about it. That's the past. It's been left there.
Shame it's not the past for the sub-postmasters, eh? But there should only really be two criteria, shouldn't there? A, has a crime been taken the place and we've got the evidence to show that? And B, can we identify who the suspect of this crime is? Otherwise, any business purposes are largely irrelevant, I would imagine.
Earlier in the piece, between, say, 2000 and 2012, were business purposes brought into account when deciding whether to prosecute or not?
I think I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's such a long time ago. To try and explain it all to you would be wrong of me to tell you, because I can't honestly answer that.
Is a business purpose, or was one of the business purposes you're referring to there, the protection of the integrity of the Horizon system?
I don't know.
I.e. will
only
prosecute.
The person who made the decision would know. I don't know what they were thinking or the reason for it being there.
Was one of the business purposes debt recovery, using criminal prosecution in order to recover debt from postmasters?
I don't personally know, but I don't know what the other people thought or why they did what they did, but I certainly didn't think of it that way. I mean, my thing was...
If we've ruled out those two things, the business purpose of protecting the integrity of Horizon and the business purpose of recovering debt from sub-postmasters as a motivator or a relevant consideration for prosecution, what were the business purposes to which you're referring?
I'm not referring to anything. All I'm doing is repeating what I've been told to tell the rest of the team.
But if you don't understand the thing you're repeating, surely you ask a question. Surely that's the first thing you do, otherwise you don't know what you're saying, quite literally, and maybe that's the problem.
So you're just following orders, really?
Yes.
Thank you very much.